Hi again, Letty. As a reminder, this is Becca from the Prepared Montessori Institute. I'm an operations coordinator, and I am with...
You are with Letty Rising, and I am a Montessori Elementary trainer at the Prepared Montessori Institute, and so happy to be with you again, Becca, because you're so much fun to hang out with on a Friday.
The best way to end the week, right?
Absolutely.
So today, Letty, I've been looking at the website, and I see this beautiful Path at a Glance document for elementary, but it's very detailed, and I see that within it, there's kind of 4 main blocks or subsections, and they're in residency, album self-study, short courses, and practicum. And I would just kind of love to hear your thoughts on a little bit of a breakdown about each of those blocks that goes beyond the Path at a Glance. So why don't we start with in residency, and what is that all about?
Absolutely. So the in residency is the time when we have a 2-week intensive in the first summer and then another 2-week intensive in the second summer. Those 2-week intensives are about 5 hours a day in class time, and including Saturdays. So you're kind of busy on your Saturdays for those 2 weeks too. And it is a mixture of lectures, seminars, and workshops. And so we're talking about Montessori theory, we're talking about child development, classroom leadership, and all the different academic courses that we have in all of the topics of cosmic education, which is math, history, language, science, and so on. So that's the in-residency studies are very intense, and they are typically located on site and at a site. However, at the time of this recording, which is right now, we are still at the late stage of a pandemic. And so this summer, we are going to be doing it virtually. So if you live far away and you're thinking it might be hard to come out to California, which is where we have it right now, our residency, that may change. We may have more sites in the future, but right now it's in Southern California. If you think that might be tough, but you really want to take the training, now would be the time to jump in, because you could do your first summer virtually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But second summer would still be in California.
Second summer, unless we have another pandemic come, knocking on my wood right now, that doesn't happen. All plans indicate that we will be on site for the second summer. And so that's the in residency. So 4 weeks, generally, usually on site. However, this year, the first 2 weeks, the first summer one, is going to be virtual.
Gotcha.
So that's the in residency studies. So that's the intensive time during the summer, and usually it's actually towards the end of the summer. Just I don't want to throw out dates all the time. I mean, this summer they are starting at July 25th or 26th. So towards the end of July. Okay. And so we're generally starting later in the summer. It's not going to be in June or early July in the future either. So,
gotcha.
And
that's super helpful for teachers too, if they don't work during the summers.
Absolutely. Well, it was sort of designed that way so that we can make sure to reach teachers when they are not as busy, because it is an intensive time.
That makes sense. Great. So the next step, what I see is album self-study. Now, what is self-study? Does that mean I'm completely by myself doing all this work, or do I at least have some support?
We leave you on all by yourself to just figure it all out. No. So the album self-study is when you're in the program, you are assigned chapters of work, and every 2 weeks is sort of a block of assignments. And then every other week we meet and discuss all of the different chapters of work. And, usually it's like a couple of chapters at a time. It might be one chapter if it's a long one. So, and during the time when you are not in class, you are watching videos of all the lessons. You are creating presentation cards, which you're writing down all the different lessons that you are watching, and creating sort of an outline of them for your own reference for when you're teaching, and helping you memorize the important components of each lesson. And so then you're working on, those kinds of things with the presentation cards, the videos, and then we're meeting 90 minutes every other week to talk about the chapters. And part of the time is we're discussing philosophy, or we're discussing the academics, but we're also use that time to really connect and build community with each other. And you would be surprised how amazing it is that how amazingly easy it is to be able to connect with people online. You probably know that though, Becca, because you've been working online for a while, right?
Yes, absolutely. And taking classes online, it is pretty different, but there's definitely still that community aspect. And I like that even though it's self-study, I'm still connecting with real people every other week, and I'm still seeing real faces. That's nice.
Yes. And we really encourage people to have what we call study buddies or practice partners who they can work with during the time when they are working independently, so that they can really help each other be accountable and support each other and so on. So even though it's sort of a album self-study, you have lots of support if you want it and need it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right, great. Moving on. Now I see these classroom leadership short courses. What's that all about?
So we have these short courses that we offer that are a little bit more related to the practical aspects of the classroom that we felt like would be really good for teachers to have before they enter into the classroom. And one of them is communication and connection, where you are learning about different ways to talk to children in ways that elicit cooperation and just to kind of keep things harmonious in the classroom and support your classroom leadership and management. And the other one is micro observations, where you are taught to really look and observe at students. And you get to watch a bunch of videos and look and make some observations and talk about your observations with your colleagues. And both of these are really lots of fun and really lend themselves to practical, on the ground, real world support for going into the classroom.
Awesome, that makes sense. Is there people who are maybe already in the classroom at that stage? Do they bring their own questions that they're experiencing real time?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
That's
We have a lot of people these days who are leading a classroom, but they're not quite yet trained. It's just sort of how it is right now, because we have a shortage of teachers, and it's kind of worked out where some people are getting training while they're in the program. And so they bring their questions and we troubleshoot and problem solve with them a little bit. So that's another great thing, not only for them, but for everybody to listen to, because they're going to encounter those challenges as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Yeah. Great. And this last portion I see looks like pretty big block in our path at a glance, and it's called Practicum. What is that all about?
Oh, yes, the Practicum. So the Practicum involves 3 distinct areas: classroom observation, practice teaching, and guided practice sessions. Okay. So classroom observation, you are going to be going to a classroom and observing a classroom, or it could be a variety of classrooms. You need to do that for a minimum of 50 hours. And some of that can be done virtually at this time, but a lot of it needs to be done in person. So you need to make sure you have access to a classroom nearby to be able to do that.
Does it have to be a Montessori classroom?
Oh, yes. It does need to be a Montessori classroom, because we're observing Montessori things. So yes, that's important. Then we have practice teaching, which is 480 hours over the course of the 2 years. And this is where you will be practicing teaching with real live students in a classroom. And again, some of that can be virtual, but most of that needs to be on site in a classroom. So you need to have access to a classroom with real children and real materials to be able to complete that portion successfully. And then we have guided practice sessions, which are one Saturday a month throughout the school year or the academic calendar. And it's for 3 hours. And basically, you are with your colleagues practicing lessons that you have been watching and learning about during your album self-study time.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah.
So let's say, I know you do have to have a bachelor's to do this program. A question I get asked a lot by people is, they say, well, I did my bachelor's in elementary education. I've already done student teaching. Can some of that apply to my practicum?
Unfortunately, no, because it is, we're looking at a lot of different kinds of things, and this is a totally different approach to education than probably something that you're familiar with.
Right.
And so you need to look at it from a different lens that we're kind of offering in our training course. And so you will need to be in a Montessori classroom to do these things, and you get to see things with fresh eyes. So even if you do have your elementary training in a traditional setting, this is going to be a whole new world for you. So it's an exciting thing. And yes, you definitely need to be, I can't stress enough that you need to have access to an elementary classroom. Some people go travel near where their grandma lives or their aunt who happens to have a Montessori school, and they go stay there for a week and do observation or practice teaching and go back and forth. So there are ways to creative problem solve that, but you definitely are going to need to be with children and with materials in a Montessori classroom to conduct your practicum.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, Letty, I think we've reached the end of our time again. These always seem to go by so fast.
Right?
Thank you again for joining us. This was super helpful, I'm sure, for everyone watching. And I hope you, as well as everyone watching us live, has a great weekend.
You have a great weekend too.
Thanks, Letty. Bye.
Bye.